Now we
because
just
I'm
on
reading.
air. So now we
Okay, yeah,
can become and we can show how ridiculous we are when discussing about GPT.
we are an expert. We are experts now in AI as well, like everyone else.
Yeah, we're
So
working in the tech industry, so we have to know all this.
yes, no, but it says that ChatGPT 4 and how it's different from 3.5, and 4 is 10 times more advanced. And it says that basically from uh, information synthesis to complex problem solving. Um, so yeah, linguistic finesse actually, information synthesis, creativity and coherence, um, complex problem solving, like mathematical stuff and algorithmic stuff, I guess, programming power, and image and graphic understanding. Okay, that's cool. Reduction of inappropriate and or biased responses. I guess that's also uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, so it is better. The 4, it is better.
One of the key changes is that it recognizes images. So I think you can upload an image and then you can ask questions about it and then it can answer it as well. And this thing about bias, I think it's quite a lot better than the 3.5, at least according to the CEO. And they had some issues with bias towards, I think there were some examples where they were asking stuff about Trump or Biden or these kind of things, and it's way more biased towards left, at least in the beginning. But that's also it's a curious argument to me because it's the data comes from, I don't remember where it comes from, but most likely online, right? And if majority of the written word online is opposing Trump, for example, or opposing Biden or whatever it may be, is it then, of course it's biased, but is it still in line with the general population's opinion? Or does it matter that it is or it is not? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think
Like, do
it's
we
a
have to
good.
blame the machine for it?
No, no, no. I think yeah, it's true. I mean, it has to be programmed for somewhere, and if the source is just is the pool of data is from certain sources, and of course it's gonna be biased. It's really hard to know about. I mean, first of all this is speculation. I know nothing about this, but I like to speculate and just talk out of my ass. But yeah,
Of course.
yeah, I think it's true. It's very hard to make it non-biased uh, because then you will have to get sources from sites or places that they don't want the tool to be like searching these sites and stuff, and otherwise you will just if you, for example, ask what is the craziest uh, do you have it open?
Not right now. But
No, anyway, but let's say if you ask what is the craziest conspiracy theory and how deep it can go into those details and stuff, then that'll be interesting because there's something probably that people, I don't know how they killed Kennedy or things like that. Who blew up the Nordic pipeline? Like can they get information from like for example, I don't know, this platform that you like. What is its name? The journalist platform.
Substack.
Yes. Yeah. So that would be interesting if it's getting
Um,
sources from
I'm
everywhere.
just opening it. I just simply ask who killed JFK and let's see what it gives us.
Okay.
The
Let's see.
assassination of John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, on November 2020, 1964, in Dallas, Texas, is a topic of much debate and speculation. And that's giving quite a long form answer. The official investigation conducted by the Warren Commission concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in shooting Kennedy from the 6th floor of Texas School Book Depository Building. However, over the years, many conspiracy theories have emerged, suggesting that other individuals or organizations were involved in the assassination. Despite numerous investigations, no definite proof has been found to support any of the conspiracy theories, and the official conclusion remains that Oswald acted alone.
Oh,
But
that's
also,
interesting.
well,
Yeah.
what I've also seen that you can. I haven't tried it myself, but I've heard that you can trick the ChatGPT to give some answers that go, because often it says that I am just a language model, AI language model. I cannot provide this
Hmm.
and this information, but you can
Hmm.
somehow go around it by telling him not to be one and telling him
Hmm.
that you're actually not a language AI model. Now you are this and this. Or another way is that create a fictional character of this and this. What would happen? And then it can bypass some of the algorithm, some of the biases and stuff, which is
Yeah, I
quite kind of
mean,
curious.
it's curious because recently they actually disclosed some documents, and the FBI was involved into this assassination, and they haven't, or the CIA, and they haven't denied that either. I mean, it's I mean, it's interesting because like if you think about like a court, and they said like, okay, so it's clearly you have an involvement into this, and they said like, well, yeah, I mean, like we cannot deny or accept this, but like the government is telling you that, hey, but we have some proof now, some documents, and there is still an organization that can tell the government to say, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's complicated, you know, like it's and this is recent. If you look at in some sources, like maybe offline or whatever, but there is already some involvement of the CIA into this assassination, and then of course this ChatGPT is not going to tell you about that. Maybe because it's taking some period of time back, and it's not like on real time, I guess. Uh, but yeah,
And some of the things I believe it will be problematic when people take the answers of ChatGPT at its face value. 'Cause previously, even it was difficult to find information on Google, but at least you got it from 10 to 15 different sources, and then you create in your own mind what might be correct. But the GPT just gives you one answer, and you might start believing it as correct. And what is your stand on the AGI, artificial general intelligence? Would you consider GPT-4 as such, or
I
how?
don't know. I don't. I'm not quite sure what is that.
The AGI is it's been something that's been trying to be developed ever since the creation of AI, or even somewhere from the 50s already, when people started imagining these artificial intelligent machines. They wanted to create something that mimics human brain, that's actually artificially intelligence, because now that we talk about AI, it's basically just machine learning. There's not
Yes.
really that much of a intelligence in it that mimics a human brain. So, and also majority of the AI applications, they are what's called narrow AI, so they can do some specific tasks way better than a human can do. But let's take, for example, when AI first was able to beat the chess master Kasparov
Yeah, like
in a
a
chess match, and
deep blue.
yeah, and when it was able to do that, but the same AI cannot um, solve a puzzle or give you a recipe for cake, because it's only specific to playing chess. So it can be way better than human in that, but it's still very narrow.
Hmm.
So the AGI refers to something that's artificially intelligent, that can do multiple different tasks without the involvement of a human being in between.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure about all this stuff because sometimes I want to feel like maybe I don't want to, maybe I don't want to have to do anything with AI and all this thing. I just want to be outside of all this. And sometimes I'm like interested, but in this sense, I think is if you look at how you perceive information is like from your senses, and how you acquire this information. So for the AI to make that leap, it has to do the same. It has to get information from somewhere. So if for some reason can mix like the computer vision like learning from videos and images from the internet, and and at the same time complement that information with what I'm looking is actually a cake, and there is a video of how they explain how to do it, then now I know how to do it. There is a video of how they're playing chess, but how can you, because that's the thing. I mean, if you teach Deep Blue to play chess and you don't teach them to do a recipe of cake, it's not gonna make it. So how it generates this information from, and it has to be that it's auto-sufficient into absorbing information, and it's not the person doing this code, because that's the problem. You have to then train the AI to do everything, and that will take like a lot of years, unless you have a, I don't know, unless we are at that point that we can
Unless you have a
mix.
quantum computer,
Yes, exactly. Unless you have
then you can do it way quicker.
yeah, very strong quantum computer in a supercomputing center with a, these many petaflops these supercomputing centers are, uh, so maybe at that point we can all these
But
neural
now,
networks, and yeah.
and now you can already talk to GPT as if it were a human, and you can get a sensible conversation coming out of it. And then one of the arguments also is that, or questions rather, is whether or not machines can be conscious. If there's consciousness, can we reach a point that machines are actually conscious? And what would it mean?
Mm.
I heard Lex Friedman referring to Ex Machina, and there was a
Yeah.
moment in the movie. Apparently, it's been a long time since I saw it, but apparently there was a moment in a movie where this machine that had AI in it actually just stared into the emptiness where there was no audience, and it smiled. So, and that's what created, and that's what meant that this is now actually AGI, the artificial general intelligence, because there's no audience, and then you can react to things just for yourself, and it would mean that you're conscious. And just recently I released this podcast, but it was in Finnish. I talked to one of the big technology industry influencers in Finland, Seppo Kuula, and I talked to him about, I asked if he considers that machines could become conscious, and he was definite in his answer that no, that machines are machines, and that's a different thing. And I struggle with the idea as well, because if you think about, if you turn off the machine, what's left? It's
Yeah, I don't think the machine can be, I mean, personally I don't think it's possible either. uh, I think part of the consciousness is this universal sense
exactly.
of, yeah, so that we are conscious because we are everybody. I am everybody, I'm everyone. So
But
that's
why isn't the computer part of it? Why isn't computer everyone and everybody?
because it's limited in sense of after all this creation of I mean we are, I mean, we have to go a little bit back in this answer very quickly. I don't want to get too much into these I don't know, details, but we come from the stars, right, in some way, and we come from these many years of evolution. So there is in certain way that it's very weird that we can now look at the sky and try to understand ourselves, like with astronomy and cosmology, and we came from there, and we are trying to understand ourselves, and the cosmos itself is trying to understand itself with us. But we are part of the same thing. So I think then on that process we create, like, the wheel and the airplanes and the computers and the AI. But the AI has still the thing that if for some reason they manage to conquer the world, like, like in the movies, there's still something limiting about that. It will just I don't think it can be like everywhere. It cannot, for example, be connected to other planets, for example, or like that. It goes to fiction a little bit. That's why I don't like to talk about this, because it's just not only speculation; it's just like fiction. Because yeah, the AI could be conscious about, like, uh, I don't think that's the word actually. So it's hard for me to understand like how it could be in the same way as humans that have this capacity of uh, not only thinking but this abstraction of the self. They said like, yeah, I'm experiencing this. Like this is my body, but I'm also experiencing this. I don't think the AI have that capacity because there is no abstraction.
They have a capacity to communicate it in words in ways that we understand it. But then what's behind it is the question, because
But there
already
is, yeah.
they can tell you that they are feeling emotion. They can tell you that they are conscious,
Hmm.
but then it's just about the interpretation. What is the And when you talk about the universe and creation of all of it, and the same thing can be argued that all these microphones, laptops, lamps, whatever we have here, phones, it's built off of something that's been born thousands of years ago, different material, but now it's just all connected into these devices that we can then use in communication and recording and creating machines out of it. And why, yeah, then we have
But
to
that's
deny the possibility that they are also part of this university that we are connected with,
yeah,
or
yeah.
not.
That's the point. Like the AI, even though could spread towards computers and phones and devices. Everyone has devices in the world. Not everyone, but only fortunate and people that can uh, have the privilege to have these devices.
This is one of
uh,
the topics that really breaks my brain.
yeah, yeah. But that's the thing. Like, let's say AI can penetrate all those layers of technology, from the most complex to the IoTs. Let's say there is this powerful AI. Then yeah, I mean, it has all the control, but there's something very different to be conscious. To be, I don't think that's, to me, is very hard to understand how that would be possible, because it's still operating in between boundaries. It's still like this, requires energy, for example, even though it could probably connect to renewable energy parks and then be
It's
sustainable
the
itself. I don't know. It's too much fiction. I think it's possible. Yeah, I mean,
it's
but
the energetic fields that we're confused of, because we like to see the world through biology and cells and atoms and all that. But when it moves into physics and energy, if we start to explore the world through that, then it becomes way more complex, at least in my brain, because that's when we talk about quantum entanglement and these kind of things, that there can be a thing here that's connected to another thing across the globe, and then when it moves, it's actually connected, and then it's moving at the same time, talking about this entanglement. And it's not limited to physical human body, because all of this is somewhat to some extent energy that's around us. But I cannot also, we have to go back to just prior to recording. We were talking about David Deutsch. He's a famous physicist and philosopher, and also quoted somewhere as a father of quantum computing, because he came up with these concepts in the beginning. And we should talk to him maybe to get a more advanced
uh,
answer about this.
mm,
But it's still interesting to have a discussion with common people who are not working so closely with it, or who haven't researched it, because it opens our mind in a different way as well.
I was talking with somebody that knows a lot about this quantum stuff, and I was curious about the entanglement, because for me it's fascinating how like the particles can be entangled with each other, but in reality, the entanglement has just happened very briefly. But we like to think that we are entangled in some way, that when I feel something and then that person calls me, is because of this quantum physics, or at least that's what I used to think. That's what I was more like lean to think, because I like that idea. that somehow we are able to connect with each other, and there is an entanglement between particles, and the energy and all the electrons are entangled because there is some frequency or some kind of like a vibration or something that comes from the electromagnetic field that click, and then that entanglement happens, and then even if you move away a few kilometers, um, there is certain things that will resonate when my brain is in certain brain waves, and then all this string theory around me, all the people that I have connect with, they receive information all the time, and everything is information, right? Like the universe is like a huge quantum computer in a way. It's computing all the time, physics and quantum physics and gravity and electromagnetism, nuclear strong, this nuclear, everything that makes the particles stay connected. So when I talked to him about this, he was like, "Well, but that's not the case. Entanglement just happened, yes, in a very specific cases, and it's just, but that's what he, from his own experience, as you said, he said, like, scientifically, this is very hard to happen. It can happen only in these certain conditions." But then when I go back to my own brain, I said, well, but this is what we have discovered so far, scientifically fact. But I still feel that maybe we haven't gotten yet there to that point that we are like, okay, maybe we are more connected than we think, and it's not true. Maybe that way is so. Then we go back to consciousness. Maybe we are connected in that way. Maybe this is another multi-dimension that we have not aware of it. Like, for example, when they talk about this DMT, I don't know if you know who is Graham
Hancock.
Norton. Hancock, yeah, Graham Hancock. Have you seen what he's doing with this DMT dropping? It's like a experiment that they're doing with many people, and they're dropping this DMT, which is this particle that is also in ayahuasca ceremonies, and of course you can synthesize the particle as well. And this DMT is very interesting because it's in every human, and actually in every living being there is this DMT, and apparently when you have this drop of DMT when you are close to these death experiences, like near death experiences, when the body drop that thing in your pineal gland, you open some kind of like a door in your brain that you start to see things and flashbacks of your life. And so they're doing that, but in a hospital by IV, like an intravenous dropping, so like a bloodstream. And these people are coming from these experiences. They prolong these trips, or they prolong these effects like longer than normal, and they come with the same thing. All of them, they say, "Yeah, I was in a place like this, like that, and I was meeting with these entities, with these disembodied beings, and they are like, you are experiencing," and all of them, like everyone in this experiment, are having the same thing. So how is this related to? Are we meeting somewhere in this? Is there the near like afterlife? All religions are talking about this since like even before, like Jesus, like Hinduism. They have this very weird reincarnation explanation of the universe being concave, and the black hole, the quark, like in the middle of the universe, is gathering all the energy through gravity and is going to the other side of the. This is Hinduism. This is religion from them. They have many gods and stuff, and it's older than Christianism. So we know that these people have been having this knowledge not from science but from somewhere else. Maybe the plants, maybe the lotus, the lotus flower in Egypt.
Yeah.
They are having this. They have DMT or psychedelic effects. So what if it's something there that we just can't, we can just access that by science necessarily, like
And
that's
one of
what
the things that this Graham Hancock is talking about, I think it's connected that he thinks that there was a way more advanced civilization, that
yeah.
possibly more advanced civilization that we have now, that's lost in the history books due to some cataclysmic event, and that they were possibly able to use something else, whether it's regarding consciousness or however you would put it, they had some sort of skill set that's way different to what we have now. And what he's also said before when it comes to these experiences is that like every world leader should have like 10 ayahuasca trips before they would be chosen, because of this connection that they are able to reach with this
Mhm.
experience of DMT. That's fascinating what you were saying about these controlled studies about the DMT and how people get similar experiences because they come from different backgrounds. So you cannot rely on the fact that they are, it's because of their environment has created them these memories and religious beliefs that gives them this visions.
Mhm.
If every time when you reach a certain state of mind you come back with the same experiences, then it would have to mean to some extent that there's some world in between life and death of a physical body.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to the point that they are trying to map this realm that these people are going and come back to the point that they are mapping this. Like, okay, you know,
Do you
how do they
remember if
look?
there was anything about how they felt in this realm? Any questionnaire or
Yeah, I think the answer is the same. We all feel like one. Like that's the answer. Like, yeah, I just feel like part of everything. I just feel like one. Just feel like that you are everything,
yeah,
and that's the same pattern of response. So that's the thing that I
going back to the source, back
yeah
home.
yeah. And then Hinduism has a very those the Brahmans, the Brahmans, something like that is called. Uh, and is this like a reborn of the universe, and then all this you can look at it. So it's not new, but I wonder because this is in between 10,000 years and now. But when you look at the younger Dryas theory about Graham Hancock, the this like
Yeah,
ancient apocalypse that happened before, and you see all these structures from uh, not only Egypt but like around the world, like in
yeah.
Mexico,
Turkey,
Turkey. You think about like
Philippines, or somewhere. Yeah.
yeah, it's think like okay, what's going on, and that's what I think. That's more. I prefer that than the AI. All that stuff for some reason is more attractive to me
Yeah,
than.
actually, those are some of the contradictions that I'm having in my mind because I'm
Mhm.
super
Sorry.
interested in the technology and the future of technology, where it takes us when it comes to AI, augmented reality, virtual reality, quantum
Yeah.
computing, blockchain, and all the possibilities that they bring to us. But then on the other side, it's just it's a machine that disconnects us more and more
Hmm.
from the actual source that I believe is somewhere in the connection to the nature where we have grown up. Because it, on the other hand, it just feels like it's these are steps toward the sixth extinction of all the species, including humans in it. Like it, I just don't see a beautiful end, even though I'd like to be part of the path of this development. It's a contradiction in my mind.
Well, I mean, I have to say that we need to think about in a way that nowadays technology have sped up a lot this sense of urgency towards development because of technology, the same technology. Uh, just give you an example about this. Like back in the days when there was no like internet, you will understand in your brain that okay, yeah, maybe we're gonna go to the moon one day. But now, and you know that you're gonna live until you're 60. In that at that time, I was 60 years old, 70. Now everyone is kind of like understand that where are we going, the possibilities and all that. But because of technology, um, make everything like happen faster. You think everything is moving faster, but in reality, all these things are moving also very slow. And the internet is just like maybe 40 years old, even less, 30 years old, and that's just a third of life of a person. and people live just 90 years old. Let's say if you're lucky, um, that's so short. That's so short. So when you about with somebody nowadays, like I'll have to say, of course, in the 20s, in the Greeks, in the Egyptians, there was people thinking about all these questions, right? But nowadays, it seems to be that we are not only like more people in general, like we're 7 billion, but also these 7 billion are of the 7 billion. There also there's this, how do you say, the collective imaginarium, that people are thinking about, like more about the not only the future, but like where are we going in terms of as a human race. Like there's a lot of distractions, and I think that's the big problem. Eh, we are distracted from everything since, like, I don't know, Johnny Depp and this case, and uh like this
That's
super
more
stupid
important than
stuff.
anything else.
Yeah, and then you look at behind, there
Kardashians.
is Credit Suisse and UBS and all the banks and and we are just like, technology has taken it to the point that we were going, I think, in a good direction, but now we are like just distracted. We are in this era of distraction, and things are happening in the background, and we are just like,
I think it's whether or not it's done on purpose. We're
yeah,
making people dumber
hmm
all the time. It doesn't
yeah,
matter, like, because we're getting more and more brainless. We're getting more and more anxious.
yeah,
We have less attention span. We cannot
yeah,
focus anymore. All of that, and when all everything that we just need to do is sit down and breathe, actually, and we're
hmm
constantly looking for some sort of gratification everywhere with the stimulation. E-
stimulation, yeah,
Even when talk like us right now, we're recording a podcast that can be potentially reached by 4 or 5 billion people
hmm
who have access to internet, potentially within split seconds.
hmm
And this has never, ever, as you mentioned, happened in the history of humankind. So how an evolution doesn't work so fast that in few generations we could be getting used to that? No way. So
hmm
it just cannot be that in some level we would be going to a better direction. And if you look at the some of the important statistics when it comes to the results of this disconnection from everything, is that, like, fertility rates are going down, autoimmune diseases are going up. uh what else is there? But like this kind of, and also we don't outlive our previous generation anymore. We die younger than the previous generation, first time in the history. More people die of obesity than they die of malnutrition. All these kind of weird things are happening, and then where our food is in such a shape in the supermarkets that they are not nutritious enough
hmm
anymore, so we need to have supplements, so that, and like probiotics, prebiotics, whatever, we have to supplement that because our food is so shitty that it gets us sick. And all of these kind of weird things happening around us just so that we can keep the economy running.
Well, I mean, that's interesting because l- when you talk about economy, I don't want to use the word. I don't want to use the word. Let's put it this way: people that is in the power, like, yeah, dictators, right? Um, yeah, 100%. Like they say, for
Joe
example,
Biden.
I
the
mean,
smartest of them all.
yeah. So let's say, let me start from, let's say, censoring. You can censor the internet, like in Russia or North Korea, but in the States, they don't censor the internet, but they're also able to influence the internet. So they are using a different strategy. You're not only censoring, but you can also misinform, malinform, desinform, or even participate. Let's say Reddit. Say in Russia, you will just close it. In the States, you hire people to influence Reddit to the users. And that's one thing, right? Then you have all the underline of medicine and food and the soil and all these. There's only two companies in the world that I think is the problem that we need to address is BlackRock and Vanguard. These are two companies that you look at Monsanto and Bayer. These companies, they do real estate. They just live from rent from everyone, and herbicides, like chemicals. But the point that I want to get is that people that are in power, not only dictators and presidents, like this, not always the case. Sauli Niinisto, I love you, Sauli. Is,
Still one of the good guys
yeah, I mean, exactly.
so far.
Exactly. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about BlackRock. I'm talking about even Apple. These things that people. It's all about money. It's all about that because if you think about it, they don't give a shit. They don't care about people. I don't want to use the word psychopaths because I think that's not the right one. It's more like a sociopath or something like that. But I just want to refer to why am I saying this is because if you lose sense of reality in terms of this might kill people, this might destroy lives, but still I'm going to do it because I don't want to lose my job, because I don't want to lose my 400K year salary. And you put those people in a group, those people are running the world. They are the ones that run the world, and this is a minority. And this is not conspiracy. This is not what you just have to drop the bullshit and just look at what's happening. These companies owns everything, and all that everything is start to underline of what I was saying. From jobs, from technology, from food, and from drugs, and all that stuff. So the problem is we humans naturally are gonna do this. If I having a group of 10 people and I want to dominate, and I have to do whatever it takes, even crossing these lines, that's what it means to be in that categories. But I'm gonna be on top.
And all the virtuous people here in discussions in our normal bars, they're saying that they would never do the same, but try and lure them into this group that they would be.
We are all in the same category of a spectrum, I think.
Yeah. Like if they if they call you, Omar, and say that, hey, we have a meeting for you, come here, we need you to be our successor. You go there, you talk to them for the next 6 months, and you're going to be the same. Because
probably
it's a rare species amongst us that are selfless enough not to do that.
But selfless is not necessarily the word. I think it's selfish. No? If you're selfless, it's quite the opposite. You say no, but this is not about me. It's about everyone. I cannot accept this. And that might happen. And that happens. You see people doing a lot of good things in the world. I have to say that there is a lot of good things happening. In the world, there is also a really, really good people doing a lot of good shit around the world, trying hard. But what happens when these people get too close to the top? This person is a racist. This person is a child abuser. This person is dead now, and nobody knows how. This person, they know how to do this stuff as well. So all these people that are doing good stuff always, if they get too close to the sun, they burn. And it's weird because we are so many people around the world, and we are just distracted. They just want to look at us there when everything is burning in the back.
Yeah, but we're playing focus on the Kardashians and all that.
Yeah,
and TikTok. Yeah. And that's funny thing also, but TikTok now that they're planning to ban it in the US, nobody's concerned about Facebook and Google and Microsoft and all that, and how they're collecting all the data and how they're deploying it.
Yeah, that's true. I think TikTok problem is not only the data, because everyone is collecting the data. Everyone.
Yeah, I think it's who will be in possession of the data.
No, and also what you see.
What do you mean?
Think about this. I go to China and I put TikTok, and it's gonna be like sports, athleticism.
Yeah, but you can see the same. But you can see the same content more or less in Instagram Reels. So But of course, that's then part of the Chinese strategy, is that for
Yeah,
them it's better
yeah, yeah.
content, of course, but you can still get this kind of content in American platforms too.
Yes,
But
but
then the problem from the government side and partly from the people's side is that who's going to access the data. People actually don't care now. It's just the government's policy, and they have a reason to ban it for blah blah blah
mhm.
reasons, which are the same reasons that they could apply for any other American company that collects the same kind of data. But there's a lot of power in the hands of the few, and
Mhm.
that's as you mentioned, it's
It's weird, man. It's just
yeah,
too dystopian. This what's happening, and that's when you say like, oh, the destruction of the world and stuff. Like, yeah, it could happen tomorrow, but it could also happen in 150 years or 500 years, and we are just like perceiving that like slightly, but we're still far from that. Or tomorrow we do a nuclear war and we all start to die slowly.
it can be gone in a split second.
So that's the problem. Like there is a sense of always this. I don't know how to say, but they put that seed there for everyone to happen tomorrow. So
Do you see that
you
the
know,
humanity still exists in 100 years, 200 years? Or
I would
are
like to think that yeah.
'cause there's so many things and so quick developments happening, so it's impossible to tell. As you said, like if you go back to uh, like 200 years ago, and then prior 10,000 years before that, it wasn't really the development, the pace of development wasn't as it is today. It was still going faster. But even if you go then, like prior to that, if we exclude the possible civilized or people that possible civilization that we might have had that we don't have proof of yet. But if you exclude that, then it's hundreds of thousands of years without the proper development. And now it's so rapid compared to the history
Mhm.
of humankind that we just cannot know. And how can we cope with that? How can we keep up with that? Because we're already losing a lot of our senses.
It's yeah, it's weird that we want the last iPhone when the phone before is just the same thing. It does the same thing, and you just want it. You just want the next thing. So two things: humans develop technology, and that's like since the beginning of time we develop tools. We have just do that unstoppable. But at the same time, we want it. We have come to the point that we want all this stuff, gadgets and stuff like that, and it's unstoppable as well. And then we have people tweeting about like climate change and all that from a phone that is full of cobalt and comes from like a mine in the Congo or something. So it's just very hypocrite in a way that
Very.
people are so ignorant in that sense. I prefer not to say anything about anything anymore and just like try to focus on my surroundings, uh, have a purpose with the line of work what I do, be happy, treat everyone with respect, and be nice to the waiter, be nice to the person that my boss, and in these difficult moments, still be deploy kindness, deploy compassion, because that's the hard thing. When somebody's insulting you, you're like, you forget everything, and you're like, no, fuck you, and then uh, you say something mean to the person. That's a challenge.
It is. I agree, and it's look. We all of us have we have the environment and the influence circle that we can play
Mhm.
our part. But and one of my big problems with a lot of people is that they on the surface they want to appear as highly virtuous and highly influential and world saver, like because they want to be perceived as a person with a certain ideology.
Mhm.
But then when you talk to them and then you see how they treat people in their immediate
Mhm.
surroundings,
Yeah.
they act like assholes. So
Why? Yeah, yeah, true.
where's the point in that?
There's
Because
a logic.
it's everything is it's like you could describe it as Instagram behavior. So you want to appear as something perfect, someone with values, someone with high purpose, ideologies. You're highly virtuous. then at the same time you slap people around you, then you
You're
don't care
mean.
at all the
Yeah,
conditions of the people who work for Cobalt, for example, or who are doing your clothes, or where does your food come from what kind of conditions. These kind of things you don't care at all, but you just want this shiny picture of you, so that you, again, so that you will feel accepted and admired. And it's it's contradictory once again.
it is. It is, and there is a point in time that you start to realize all these things, and it's weird because they put you in a position where they tell you like, hey, you can buy all this stuff now, and you get all this stuff, and then the information come after, like, okay, but all this stuff is coming from this. We have had certain period of awakening somehow, of being conscious about like fossil fuels and clothes and yeah, all these. But then when you realize around you everything is that, everything is plastic, and then plastic is not necessarily bad, but there is certain uses of the plastic which are totally stupid. It could be different. uh Petrol, diesel, I don't think it's totally bad. I mean, how do you move a tractor? You want to do electric in the winter? You need to move some snow. You won't. What about the planes? Yeah, you can have electric planes at some point. uh what about the drugs? Yeah, there are some drugs that can save your life. But then there's always this spectrum of everything, right? So if we could, that's one of my question for you that I wanted to ask you just before, because you were saying about this end of everything and 100 years or something. And I said, yeah, we could end tomorrow, if somebody messed up with some collider and create a black hole and we all die, or like a nuclear weapon, nuclear war, or in 100 years AI. But how do you see the future that is not actually ending, but is like flourishing?
Wow. 'Cause, it's I'm a little bit cynical when it comes to this topic
Mhm.
because of the development that I'm seeing. But
Mhm.
uh, it's weird to say that, but we would need some sort of a big shakeup into the systems that we have. I just don't see that happen. One of the things that could be is when we realize that our population, because we're going to have a shock in the next few decades by the size of our population. First of all, we're going to have way too many old people. Who's going to take care of that? Where's the money? And then we don't have young people anymore to fill the jobs. And then after that, when everything's already fucked up from the society perspective, then we start even decreasing population, in at least in some parts of the. They're saying that China could be halved in population by 2100, which is insane if you think about it,
Mhm.
from 1.4 billion to 700 million people. How do you fill the gap? Like, you just cannot. So I immediately went to negative side of things. But like, some of the things that I just cannot see it happen. Like,
I want to see the
we
mortality.
should demolish all these apartment buildings, and we should all be somewhere that we can see the green, touch the nature, touch each other, be with each other, be with the community, eat the food that's coming from around the corner. Or like, this could be one of the things. Or then just to go to complete the other spectrum of the discussion, have you seen this town that they, I think, even started to build? Is it in Saudi Arabia or one of the Middle East countries that
Yeah, the line.
future? Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
It's called the Line, actually. Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
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 But then that's on the other side of the spectrum. But if you can make this kind of thing work, because it's completely from renewable energy, right? Like
Mhm.
sun, and probably sun is the major source of energy over there. And then if you can actually start producing uh, food that actually rich in nutrition, and then you have these close communities inside of it, could it work? Maybe. It's an interesting experiment if you can really make it happen. But then again, it's super super expensive, and you cannot talk to any other country than some countries in the Middle East who would even consider doing that, and or could even afford it. But so many things will collapse over the next few decades. So maybe it will force us to go back to the basics, unless we can find some sort of huge development in technology that can, I don't know, but I don't know how it works, because all the futuristic
Mhm.
movies that you see, it's, it's like a closed tall buildings and everybody's in small spaces, but then they can enter another world through some virtual glasses or whatever, flying cars. But again, in city environments, in closed small environments, where there's a lack of all the connection that we could have on the mother earth, and that's the disturbing part to me.
Yeah.
And also, one of the things that you also mentioned before, how we're making toxic, when it comes to the destruction of the earth, I'm not as worried about global warming as I'm worried about actually destroying the soil and destroying the base that our
Mhm.
food lives, all the water and everything that comes along with it, because then we're poisoning ourselves all the time with these toxins, and that will be a bigger disruption to humanity than the global warming itself, in my
Yeah, that's
opinion.
true.
That's the biggest concern, or the bigger concern to me.
Yeah. I don't think we are overpopulated. Do you
No,
think that
no,
we are?
there's space. No,
Yeah.
definitely there's space. We just, the way we are utilizing the space is not the right kind of way, but also to make it right kind of way, it's an
Have
impossible
you
task for everybody.
have you ever heard about Jack Fresco?
No, doesn't ring a bell.
Uh, have you ever heard about the Venus project?
No. If I have forgotten about it.
Yeah. Well, I can share with you the link or something so you can
Sure.
see. But it's interesting because this guy is uh I can actually tell you what his real uh, career is kind of, but he's I think he's an engineer, social engineer, structural engineer, architectural designer, industrial designer, and of course author and all that stuff. Um, so he somehow have a very nice idea of how this could happen, and I think it would be interesting that you see it because first of all, we are not overpopulated, that we agree. Second, we have like a lot of resources so far. I think we have a lot of resources still, uh, but I think we need to go back to some basics if we wanna continue, uh, or we wanna take in that direction of like well-being for everyone somehow. So creating like a economy which is not around capital but more about resources, and manage the resources very well. So of course we have to talk about agriculture. We have to talk about renewable energies. We have to talk about uh, make people useful in a way that make the same cities to work uh, by, like they cannot work by itself. So there are some jobs that probably are going to be created again or reopened, or just that people don't want to do anymore because they have a weird relation with those type of jobs. But I think that's what it will take at some point, because as you said, there's something very disruptive that need to happen, and of course this will take another hour. We want to talk about it, but just very briefly, um, I think the only revolution that hasn't happened is the religion revolution, and I think that's my takeaway in some way from all this. I think that has to happen. We have to unify us to tell the same story, and understand that, at least for me, that's what I, as you said, you're a
Like,
bit
you
cynical.
unify the story from different religions into one. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
they're just
And what
stories.
kind of
Yeah,
difference would that make?
like if I'm Muslim, I understand that Mahoma
Muhammad,
or
Allah. What?
no, a Mahoma.
Oh, I don't know that. What's that word?
Oh, yeah, I think it has Jesus, no, somehow. I'm butchering this, but let's say Jesus, Mahoma, Buddha, all the I don't know, all these stories that we tell our generations, and those are this religion is not the necessarily the bad side of it, because religion can also give some structure for morality. But when we say that my religion is the reality, and and then we have wars around the world about it, uh, we kill each other in some way. I think that's something that has to change, and then after that, maybe something interesting will happen to the societies. Maybe the states are going to start making more like a European unions. I mean, union. You can say already when in a company something is not working, you create a union. We have an European Union already
Well,
to the
one of the
world.
things that we could go back to is to have tribes of, is it maximum of 150 people? That's one of the theories that when it
Well,
goes higher than that, you cannot really have a functioning environment anymore. Like your brain cannot cope as a human being.
yeah. Well, I mean, we have functioning somewhere in
Kind
some
of,
places in
yeah.
the world. We have kind of functional environments that we can, you know. But is it inclusive enough? Is it like in terms of like in Finland is quite a weird. It's a weird country, man, because you don't have homeless people. Everyone is happy
Whoa,
to
whoa,
some
whoa,
de-
whoa,
to
whoa.
some degree.
No,
You
no,
want to
no, no,
show,
no, no. We don't want to go back to this topic of happiest country in the world.
yeah, but I think in some way it is. If you compare to other countries,
I don't
you have
think it
it here
is.
very well. You have it here very nice.
That's another thing, yeah. But
Yeah,
people are not satisfied with it. That's a problem.
but satisfied is different question.
I don't know if it is. It's connected to happiness, isn't it?
Satisfaction connected to happiness?
No?
I don't know. Is it?
To me, it is. But
I think happiness is something like it's like a long term thing, and satisfaction is something like is on the moment.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, not fully the same. But it's connected. Well, I can switch the word to happiness as well. Like we
Yeah,
have all the pieces in place here, but I don't think people are happy. But there's all the reasons to be happy. That I agree. And there's a lot of
yeah.
great things when it comes to this environment and everything functions, blah 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 blah, all of that.
So
But I don't believe that people are happy. Well, I know that they're not. It's like every other person is on antidepressant pills. Is that
no, but that's
happiness?
different. That's a different question because of course the weather it doesn't help. The
Yeah,
amount of
but
light
it,
that
but
you get
is yeah, but
here.
is that but is that happiness then? No.
Well, I mean, if the only thing that is affecting you is the light, then you should go to live in a country that doesn't have like a water, potable water, uh, that is not safe to go to the street,
I'm not saying that you
all
shouldn't
that
be happy
stuff.
here. I'm just saying people are not happy.
I don't think I don't think they have a joy during the winter. But when you ask in the summer if they're happy, what they're gonna say?
Yeah, but probably the survey was done in a way that it's the first sun of the spring
You
and they are
hang,
sitting on a terrace with the first cold beer of the year. And after the second beer, they ask the question, "Are you happy now?" And they're gonna
yeah,
cross the box that yes, and that's the
yeah. But
survey.
you know this is done as well for the government and the conditions and everything around you. It's not about do you feel happy now?
No,
But
no.
that's I think
This study. First of all, it's not about the mood of a people. It's about the standard of living that
exactly,
everything is
exactly.
in place, but this doesn't correlate to the happiness level of the actual people who are living here. That's why often these articles, for example, and the news and headlines about this topic and research, so-called research, is misleading in multiple ways. And now they're talking in some of the developing countries, we should move to Finland immediately so we can become happy, because that's the perception that they get without understanding that we are extremely high on the numbers of domestic violence. We're extremely high on number of narcotics, or drug addicts, or
Extremely
alcoholics,
high
or
when you say,
suicides.
but you say, but that's actually not true.
Of course, it is.
No, you should check about this suicide thing. It has decreased a lot during the years.
Yeah, but
It's not zero. but that's you cannot. I mean, we can always talk about exceptions, you know, but the idea is not to talk about the exceptions because we are humans. The exceptions are always going to be there. I think it's more like the bigger picture in terms of like, is everything is there to be happy? Yes. And are you happy? Well, yes. I mean, are you having joy right now? Probably no. And do you show happiness? Probably no, because Finnish people are very modest. They don't want to show they're happy. But then again, you go back to what's happiness.
It's not about showing like happiness is not about showing something, it's about feeling something.
Yeah, but I think it's a sense of like, are you doing? I mean, as an overall, do you have everything? I mean, there's a weird question about like when you realize
Like
you're happy.
I get your point that like we have everything in place. We have all the reasons in this country to be happy, but I just don't agree with the fact that we actually are on top of the world when it comes to that.
But
Do you
for
understand?
example,
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand, but I still think that the reason these studies are done in that way is because uh, there's no other way to kind of like a measure somehow. I don't think it's happiness necessarily, but it's like a consensus of happiness because of course happiness is different for everyone,
Yeah, but that's my point exactly. That
like a
that
well-being.
you shouldn't make headlines when you argue that this is the happiest country in the
Well,
world.
that's marketing, but you and me know that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's my problem. Yeah, because
But why is
that's the
why
perception.
you? But don't you think that that marketing is positive?
For whom?
Well, I mean
It's not marketing
for the
by.
benchmark, because if as you said, you have all the things to be happy, and
But
you
it's
argue
not
that.
like no. It cannot be a benchmark if it means, even if we have everything in place, and if it doesn't mean that people are actually happy with this environment, there's no reason for it to be a benchmark.
But
Then we
how do
have
you
to
know?
question, well, why would it be? If we then recreate this environment in another country,
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that they will become happy. It just means that the perceived structure of this kind of ideal environment in some way is just built somewhere else. It doesn't mean that the people are actually become happy. So we have to question, what is the criteria
but
that
do you
we're
know
building
that,
this based on?
right?
Come again?
But you don't know that. I mean, you're speculating
No,
that if you copy this into another place, they're not going to become happy. But you don't
I
know.
am, but you're speculating if you're telling that we copy this somewhere else and they will be happy, right?
But if you copy, yeah, but if you copy this to another place that they don't have those basic things, I believe that you're gonna be close to be happy just because you have the basic things. You trust people that is leading you. You have all these things that in Finland they have like the best numbers. And then the question is, are you happy with all that? Well, there are many people that they are not happy because they have mental issues, or let's say, let's leave out the mental issues, or mental health is not in place, like 100%, how you want to call it, because I don't want to, nobody's going to listen to this. I don't have any backlash, but let's say, uh,
Yeah, we don't have enough listeners for that. Don't worry about it.
exactly.
It's
But
just between you and me.
exactly. But if you think about, uh, if I'm living in the happiest country in the world and I don't feel happy, there's something wrong with me. So either I go to the doctor or psychologist to give me some pills to feel like normal, or I'm gonna kill myself, or I'm gonna just start drinking just because I want to do something. Something is wrong. I need to fix it. Something is not in place. So there's a danger in saying that you are the happiest country to people that doesn't feel in place or happy,
Yeah,
or they're passing through the teenage, or the adolescence, because there is still a lot of things to figure out. And if you're supposed to be happy if you live in Finland, and then you're not.
exactly.
So there is danger in that, yes. But when you were saying it's like there's all the things to be happy are there. So if you put a person that doesn't have those things, you give those things, I will argue that that person is going to become happy because now he has or she has these things that they didn't have before. Support. Uh, they have a sense of calmness that they can go to the street and don't
No,
not
but
have to
that
worry about they have the education free. I don't have to pay for that. This and that. I'm just wait. Just stick with me. So you have all these things, and you give that person that. If you take out from the Finnish person those things and you put him in another place to live, you think that person then is going to become unhappy because he's not living in Finland. It might say that no, they go to another place that are a little bit disorganized, but it's warmer. People are more happy in terms of joy because I don't think it's happy in that sense. They just cope with whatever government they have, conditions they have, and they are a little bit more joyful because of culture, which is I think a factor as well. The Finnish person is gonna be for a while. It's gonna be like, oh yeah, this is okay. I can live with this until there is a day that is like, okay, I'm gonna be tired of that things are not working as they should work. The same things you're talking about. And what does these Finnish people do? They go back to Finland because you miss those things.
Yeah, but multiple things here.
Yeah, it's
Like
not easy.
no, but like again, of course, you have to first of all define which are the structures here that are worth mentioning when talking about the conditions and environment for living. That's one thing, and another thing is also we cannot compare. Of course, if we can build this kind of structure and democracy in somewhere that's on the completely other side of the scale, living in poverty, everybody. If you switch us to North Korea or some other poor place, the environment, of course, you're gonna make a difference. But at the same time, you can find a lot of, if you talk about that, you can find a lot of immigrants in this country that come from different, multiple backgrounds, and it doesn't mean that they will be satisfied with the environment that we have here. They might be extremely dissatisfied because it's completely different to what they have been used to, and they would like to go back, but they don't have a chance, or then it's too dangerous, or whatever. But it doesn't mean that when they come here that they will be happy as hell. And
No. But it's not magically that you're gonna happy straight away. It's not easy. I'm an immigrant. Don't forget
so
that.
I know.
So it's not straight away. I mean, this study or this report talks about social support, income, health, freedom, generosity, and absence of corruption.
Yeah,
So I will say that if I go to my country and the social support is shit, the income is very low, the health is terrible. I don't have any freedom. People are mean and violent and all that stuff, and there is a lot of corruption, as the report says. How can I be happy? Yes, I can be happy sometimes when I'm with my family having dinner. For a moment, I realize like, oh yeah, this is what I would like to have most of the time. Just forget about that. In my neighborhood is super dangerous. Finland, on the other hand, has that prolonged feeling of that happiness, which becomes the norm. So if you ask a person, "Are you happy?" It's like, well,
prolonged feeling of the happiness. Like we have prolonged uh environment and structure to make those things possible that you mentioned, but we don't have prolonged feeling of happiness.
no, because it's not about like the feeling of the happiness in the present moment. It's as a long term. It's like a projection towards the past and the future from your time and moment. Do I have opportunities to grow? Did I have the education? Did I have the health? Did I have everything from my family and all this? And okay, can I go to study and do this? And so if you have that sense of prolonged well-being, so I would say that you had a happy childhood, for example, or not everyone. You talk about like violent
I think we're
family.
often like I think we're a little bit talking about different things all the time and going around it because I I agree. There's like everything, not everything, but a lot of things here are in place when it comes to structures, but people are ungrateful. And because of this ungratitude that we have, we are not in balance with ourselves. Therefore, I would never call this study as a happiness report. I would call it completely something else.
Yeah, okay, but then we go back to the point. It's just a way of marketing this happiness.
Yeah, but
because for that report,
marketing for whom again? Because this study is not made by Finland.
no. This is the World Happiness Report, which is made by the World Happiness Report,
Yeah,
which is made by.
yeah. I don't know the source of it, but it's definitely not here. And it's not
Well,
only, and also it's not only Finnish news that are reporting it. It's everywhere that talk
no.
about the
Okay, but
happiest country.
if I go to your point, yeah, definitely, you shouldn't call this happiness because it's misleading to the Finnish people and to everyone else. Because happiness, who are you to measure happiness? So first of all, define happiness and then do the report. They don't do that somehow. They do their own definition of happiness, maybe, and then they call this happiness. Uh, then I agree with you, but I still think that if a country has everything there to be happy, then we should somehow follow a little bit what they're doing and how they're doing it.
But the contradiction is here. Like, if everything that we have in place, if the whole purpose of everything that we live in life is to live a happy life and live in a way that people around us are happy as well. And if we build an environment like this, and it means that we're not making people happy, don't you see any contradiction that is this then a copyable if it didn't work even here? If that's the
But
whole goal.
but I would argue that Finnish people is happy.
Okay, then we have a different opinion about that.
Yeah, because I will say that what I have seen is that Finnish people are very modest. In my
That I can
country,
agree with.
in my country, for example, on the country that I have lived in, there is a sense of hunger for 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 climb into the uh, uh, maybe not the corporate world, but there is a hunger to be successful and recognized somehow. I don't see that Finnish people are so much into that because of the same reasons that we are talking about, and the same thing is going around in circles. I see that people here are very comfortable with what they have and what they, there is this sense of calmness. There is a sense of like, is what it is, no overcomplication, no drama, uh, coldness a little bit, but I wouldn't say that's bad. The
No,
coldness
it's not
and
inherently. It's not bad.
exactly, they are silent. They're not very emotional, but of course they have emotions. They just need to drink a little bit, and you will see those emotions.
I've never
So,
seen that happen.
so, so you have somebody like that, and you will see, but that person, is that person happy? Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know either. I don't know if they're happy or not. But I will say that what I've seen is, if a Finnish person is happy, is not gonna show to you that he's happy, because
I
probably
agree.
for,
Or
yeah,
sad.
yeah, or sad, exactly. And it's gonna be more like everything's fine. Why should I overcomplicate this emotional thing and even have a conversation about this? That's the
I,
Finnish person.
I think the conclusion is that we need an AI, the GPT 5 or 6, to understand how to measure happiness and then do the calculations, and then we will get the results that we can trust. Do you
Maybe,
think that's a good conclusion for today's conversation?
and giving some beer so we can show the true emotions.
Yeah, when GPT 5 and 6 can start
Drink,
drinking as well,
yeah,
then we can
yeah. I
do
mean, it's
that.
a never-ending thing. It's a never-ending thing. I think it's hard to. I'm gonna send you the Venus project at least
All right.
to
I'll have a look
WhatsApp,
at
and
it.
yep, let's do it. Okay,
Yeah. Thanks,
sounds good.
Omar.
No worries.
Talk soon
Bye.
again. Bye.
Okay, bye.